Following two breaking stories, a brush fire breaks out in the South Bay. Intense flames and a giant plume of smoke rising into the sky.
But first, a leisurely afternoon in a San Francisco park turns tragic after a tree limb comes crashing down on a woman as she was watching her kids play. Hello, I'm Elizabeth Cook.
I'm Ken Bassita. We begin with a woman who was hit by that falling limb. It happened a little more than an hour ago in San Francisco's North Beach neighborhood at Washington Square Park. And KPIX 5's Emily Turner is there tonight. She's got the latest. Emily?
Most importantly, we've just found out that this woman is in critical condition in the hospital right now. When that tree branch hit her, you can see that tree branch is still in the place where it fell, right over there on that park bench. As you can tell right out here, it's very, very windy today, so likely it blew that branch down. And we're going to pan up, and you can see, well, it's kind of hard with the sun, but there's a end of a branch that's a lot lighter than the rest of it. That's where that branch fell from. It's about 50 feet up, maybe a little bit higher. It fell from all the way up there down onto that woman in the bench. Now, that woman was sitting on the bench at the park watching her children play on the playground when that branch cracked and then fell on her head. It hit her right on the back of her head, police say, and witnesses who were walking by said they heard it happen and rushed to help that woman.
Right next to us, the tree, there's a big cracking. I saw the branch come down. It's a big branch, you know, and when it came down, I went, oh, I hope that didn't hit anybody. And I looked over, and there's a little girl standing there. When the branch came down, it must have missed her kids by inches.
At first, I didn't see the blood. I just thought maybe I wasn't sure. Then you could see the blood, so. She must have hit the back of her head. Either the branch hit her or it knocked her off her feet, and she went bam. So she's pretty hurt.
We've learned that the woman lives in Visitation Valley. She was here with her two daughters who, as you can see in this video, was led away. They were led away by police after the woman was taken away in an ambulance. We have learned that they have been reunited with their family. We know that the woman right now is in surgery because she has a skull injury.
She sustained an injury to her head. The branch fell on her head as it came down off the tree.
And right now, not only is Aaron Peskin out here, but there is also an arborist for the city as well as Public Works, all taking a look at that tree to try and figure out exactly what happened, but also, more importantly, to make sure that that doesn't happen again. This entire playground has been shut down to the public so that no one gets in the way of any other branches. The last time those branches were checked was in 2008, updated again in 2010, so no one from Public Works or the city has taken a look at those trees in 6 years. The trees, which, by the way, overhang not only those benches, but also the playground underneath it. Reporting live in Washington Square in San Francisco, Emily Turner, KPIX 5.
We're following more breaking news. Cal Fire on the scene of a large brush fire burning next to the Uvis Reservoir near Morgan Hill. Chopper 5 above right now as the flames send up a huge column of smoke. We've watched as Cal Fire planes and helicopters made aerial drops, and earlier there was a line of intense flames moving along the ridge. Now, this is a live look from Chopper 5 right now, and it's much better news. As you can see right now, we're seeing more smoke than flames, really. Crews contained that fire to 15 acres. 30 homes were evacuated as a precaution. As we continue to watch these live pictures, let's check in with meteorologist Paul Diano on the weather conditions there. Paul?
Well, guys, it has been 60 days since we have had a area, including Morgan Hill. So it is super dry out there. That said, the wind is not that strong, only running 5 to 10 miles per hour. It's warm, but it's not that hot. Currently 90 degrees in Morgan Hill under clear skies. Relative humidity is low and will remain low through the weekend, running 25 to 35%. So fire conditions, yes, everything is dry and will stay dry for a while. Thankfully, not that windy and not that hot in the Santa Clara Valley right now. Speaking of hot, some areas will get hot this weekend. We'll talk more about that coming up in my full forecast in about 10 minutes.
He dodged prison once before, but now a Silicon Valley tech mogul is looking at jail time for a second domestic violence conviction. KPIX 5 reporter Joe Vasquez is outside the Superior Court with this story.
Former tech CEO Gurbash Chahal walks out of court a free man, despite the fact that the court found he had physically abused 2 different women. Chahal went before the judge this afternoon for a sentencing hearing. Prosecutors wanted him put directly behind bars for 18 months. That's because Chahal violated probation on an earlier domestic violence conviction. In April of 2014, Chahal was convicted for hitting his girlfriend 117 times over the course of 2.5 hours. That assault was caught on camera, but the judge ruled the police illegally obtained the surveillance video, so Chahal ended up getting probation. Then, 5 months into his domestic violence counseling, in October of 2014, a new accuser came forward, a new girlfriend who says he hit and kicked her, too. Chahal's attorney argued he should remain free because the accuser never showed up to court.
I don't think it's appropriate for somebody to have their liberty taken away and a witness never show up in a courtroom.
Late today, Judge Tracy Brown sentenced Chahal to 12 months in jail, but then she added he will remain free while he appeals the case. That didn't sit too well with domestic violence advocates.
It's unfortunate that he's not going to get a wake-up call today, but there's no doubt in my mind that he will get a wake-up call at some point. We just hope it happens before anybody else is injured.
I should point out that Chahal's accuser never showed up in court because she has left the country. She's back in Korea, where she's from. As for Chahal, he is out. He's free pending the appeal, and there's no telling how long that appeals process can take. Reporting live, I'm Joe Vasquez, KPIX 5.
Well, an out-of-control SUV smashed into an apartment building in Redwood City today, causing major structural damage. Happened about 10 o'clock this morning on Chestnut Street near Middlefield Road. It's a Chevy Tahoe. It hit two other vehicles and then went into the building's carport. The driver is now in the hospital with moderate injuries. A view from Chopper 5 shows the white SUV jammed inside the carport with an exterior wall sticking out. The damage was serious enough that no one was allowed to go back inside that building afterwards. Workers from San Mateo County are trying to reinforce it temporarily so that people can't get their belongings.
We'll be able to let the occupants in to get their stuff out of the building. We plan that it'll be unoccupied for a few days until the contractor can come in here and do the major structural support that needs. Until we get an engineer inside to see exactly what's damaged, nobody really knows at this point.
Well, the SUV missed the gas lines. The damage certainly could have been worse. The building has 5 apartments with 27 tenants. And the owner hopes that people can return to 4 of those units soon, but the unit right over the carport will probably have to stay empty for a longer period.
Across the bay in Fremont, a pickup truck shattered a large window at a Denny's restaurant, injuring a woman who works there. This crash happened at around 9:45 this morning at a shopping center on Maury Avenue near I-880. Police say the driver backed up for an unknown reason, going across a lawn, through the window, and into the front waiting area. A woman at the cash register was hurt by broken glass. She is expected to be okay. The man and woman inside the truck were not injured. And take a look from inside the building. Fremont firefighters tweeted this photo showing the cab of the truck jutting through the front of that restaurant. Also in Fremont, a dangerous trash pickup this morning. The fumes you see in this Twitter video are from a chemical reaction. The driver had tried to compact his load when the toxic fumes went into the air. The driver had trouble breathing and was rushed to the hospital. A shelter in place was issued for the neighborhood around Newtown Court. Hazmat crews were able to clean up the area and test the truck after a couple of hours. No word on what chemicals caused that reaction.
Well, striking cord workers in Santa Clara County have tentatively reached a deal that would end their 8-day walkout. Now, the deal comes less than a day after negotiations appeared to fall apart, with the mediator walking away from the bargaining table. But the two sides kept talking, announcing a potential agreement this afternoon. A spokesperson for the court system released a statement saying they're pleased about the agreement. And, quote, if ratified, we expect our employees will return to work on Monday and normal court operations will resume. Union members will vote over the weekend on whether to accept the deal.
10 people are facing charges in a major marijuana bust in Alameda County. Sheriff's deputies found 4,600 plants growing on 200 acres along Mines Road in rural Livermore. They also discovered 100 pounds of dried processed pot, firearms, and $15,000 in cash. Several police agencies, CHP and East Bay Regional Parks, helped in the investigation, recovery, and destruction of those plants. Besides the drug charges, the suspects could face more than $1 million in civil penalties for environmental damage.
Following campaign 2016, Hillary Clinton released her tax returns after challenging Donald Trump to do the same. And as reporter Craig Boswell tells us, Trump is backtracking on comments he made accusing President Obama of being the, quote, founder of ISIS.
Hillary Clinton is stepping up pressure on Donald Trump to release his tax returns by publicly releasing her own. Clinton's 2015 returns reveal a $3.6 million tax bill on $10.5 million of income. That's roughly a 34% tax rate. The Clintons also paid about 10% to charity, the vast majority of which went to her husband's foundation. Clinton's campaign also released a video featuring Republicans pressuring Trump to follow suit.
He doesn't want to do it because presumably there's something in there that is bad.
Every major party candidate in the last 40 years has made their tax forms public. Trump says he can't until an IRS audit is completed.
Thank you.
Donald Trump is making a pair of stops in Pennsylvania Friday.
I was told this whole area is Democratic. You are going to win Erie and the surrounding. You're going to win in a landslide.
Trump blamed the media for not understanding that his reference to Clinton and President Obama as the founders of ISIS was sarcasm.
Obviously, I'm being sarcastic. But not that sarcastic, to be honest with you.
New polls show a tight race in Florida, where Trump trails Clinton by 5 points. But Clinton has a 13-point lead in Virginia and a 9-point advantage in North Carolina. Craig Boswell, CBS News, the White House.
Getting back to the tax returns, the Clintons' total income in 2015 dipped to $10.7 million from more than $28 million in 2014. The biggest reason for the drop, they had fewer speaking engagements.
Tense moments on a flight to Sacramento after the flight hit extreme turbulence.
Well, I went flying way up in the air, and my laptop flew way up in the air.
Some passengers say they felt like they were on a roller coaster. One even wound up in a neck brace.
Plus, the countdown to kickoff is on. Big question, will Colin Kaepernick start this Sunday?
And high-tech car thefts and break-ins are on the rise. Coming up, we may now know why.
A little scare in the air on a JetBlue flight from Boston to Sacramento. 22 passengers were hurt when the plane hit some severe air turbulence. As Marley Hall reports, some said it was like being on a roller coaster.
JetBlue passengers arrived safely in Sacramento Friday morning following a mid-air scare. The plane hit severe turbulence last night over the Midwest and suddenly dropped.
Well, I went flying way up in the air, and my laptop flew way up in the air, and there were stuff flying.
I was buckled in, but the lady next to me was starting to fly, and then the guys behind us had hit the over compartment, and it cracked. You can see where it cracked.
The JetBlue flight left Boston around 5:30 Thursday evening en route to Sacramento. Because of the turbulence, crew members diverted the plane to Rapid City, South Dakota.
This is going to be an Airbus 320 coming in. ETA is less than 10 minutes now. They said they have numerous injuries on the flight due to turbulence.
I felt like I was on the Tower of Terror.
Passenger Eileen Lynch is an emergency room nurse. She and a doctor on board helped passengers.
We both went to the back of the plane, and the 3 stewardesses were injured. Another young child was injured. Several people hit their heads.
At least 22 passengers and 2 crew members were taken to the hospital with minor injuries. Marley Hall, CBS News.
And check this out. The turbulence was so bad, even the bathroom got trashed a bit. One passenger tweeted this photo showing a toilet had come completely off the wall.
New at 5, new concerns that keyless entry systems for Volkswagens and other cars may leave an opening for hackers. KPIX5 reporter Julie Watts is in the newsroom to tell us about this latest trend in break-ins. Julie?
Yeah, Liz, that's right. We used to worry about smash and grabs and thieves targeting older cars that could be hot-wired. But the National Insurance Crime Bureau says it noticed an uptick in newer high-tech vehicle break-ins and thefts, and we may now know why.
Who needs to hotwire when you got a laptop?
Security video outside David Payne's Houston home shows this guy stealing his daughter's Jeep Wrangler, apparently using a laptop to hack the car's onboard computer diagnostic port, tricking it into accepting a generic key he brought with him.
I was perplexed.
And from San Francisco to Chicago, car owners like Mary Maxton have been reporting similar car break-ins with no sign of a break-in. Well, today, new insight. UK researchers presented Lock It and Still Lose It, demonstrating a hack that could potentially unlock millions of vehicles manufactured by Volkswagen since 2010 because they say the company reused the same cryptographic master key.
So basically it's like using a password over millions of vehicles, the same password all the time.
But VW is not alone. While other manufacturers didn't reuse the same password,
they used weak cryptography, so we could use mathematical techniques basically to achieve the same effect.
they say think of it like a username and password. Every car has a unique serial number or username that crooks can intercept with a hacking device placed near your car. And while they found VW reuses the cryptographic key, think same password for your banking and Gmail accounts, other manufacturers use weak passwords, think 1234. So once a crook intercepts your username, the passwords aren't hard to crack. As for car thefts, Houston police arrested these two men believed to have used pirated software to drive off with more than 100 Dodges and Jeeps.
Or somebody actually has the knowledge and the ability, it's a scary situation.
Now, police suggest parking your car in a garage when possible and maybe thinking about grabbing one of those old-fashioned clubs. Chrysler Fiat says it is cooperating with police in its car theft investigation. VW tells us security measures are continuously being improved, and the researchers we spoke with say VW has now updated its security for 2016 models. In the newsroom, Julie Watts, KPIX 5.
Another consumer alert, a wireless keyboard or mouse may actually put you at risk for being hacked. Turns out hackers target older keyboards. They use radio signals to transmit their data, which are not secure. And that makes it easy for hackers to intercept information like your social security number or credit card number. It's called key sniffing.
If you have a wireless mouse, I can attach and impersonate a wireless keyboard and arbitrarily send it whatever commands I would like to your computer.
Experts say that you can avoid the problem by getting an old-fashioned wired keyboard and mouse, or get wireless devices that use a secure Bluetooth connection.
Still slow going at BART after an electrical problem sparked fires and backed up service system-wide for part of the morning commute. A component failed between the 24th Street Mission and Daly City stations, sparking fires. Some of the cables that relay signals between trains and the control center were damaged. Crews will wait until tomorrow morning to fix the cable since a weekend shutdown was already scheduled between the Glen Park and Daly City stations. It's part of an ongoing track replacement program. A bus bridge will be in place. Well, it's been a big question all week. Who will start the first preseason game for the 49ers?
Little quarterback controversy. Andrea Nakano has the latest information coming out.
All right, well, there's no final word yet, but all signs point to Blaine Gabbert getting the start in the first preseason game against the Texans on Sunday. But it's not necessarily because Gabbert flat out won the starting job over Colin Kaepernick in camp. Kaepernick sat out of practice for the second day in a row, and we're learning it's because he has soreness in his throwing shoulder. Cap says it's not a big deal. The soreness is similar to what he felt after pitching in baseball games back in high school. The former starting QB says it shouldn't keep him out of Sunday's game entirely.
I would have loved to got those reps, but it's also something that we're in preseason practice, and we don't play a game for about another month. So we want to make sure we stay ahead of this before we get to the season.
Now, Kaepernick did add that he fully expects to start a game during this preseason. So who actually starts the regular season opener against the Rams is still very much up in the air. So the controversy continues.
Yeah, and these things, I don't know, my experience, they're never good. A quarterback controversy is never good.
And the fact that nobody's flat out winning this job means that they're both kind of at the same level. So
undecided situation.
We'll see how that pans out.
Andrea, thank you for that. Well, the VTA is helping 49er fans get to Levi Stadium this weekend just in time for Sunday's preseason game. It's launching a new express train service with a dedicated line and priority departures after the games, which is very important to get out of there. The express trains will leave from the Great Mall, Santa Teresa, Diridon, and Mountain View stations with limited stops to Levi Stadium. That's going to cost you $20 for each round trip, $149 if you want to buy a pass for all 10 scheduled home games. But if you're like a lot of us and you'd rather stay home, you can watch the Niners take on the Houston Texans right here on KPIX 5. Fantastic coverage. Starts at 4 o'clock on Sunday.
Today, thousands of South Bay students got to pick out the perfect backpack and all the supplies to go with it. Volunteers with Sacred Heart Community Service passed out the brand new school supplies collected in their annual Pack a Back program. The items were grade appropriate, everything from pencils to notebooks to calculators. In all, 3,300 students got a backpack.
We have the memory of going and picking your backpacks, getting the materials, and starting school off right. And it's so important to walk in there and have those tools.
The program is in its 14th year. Organizers say the need grows every year because of the rising cost of living in Silicon Valley.
Coming up, all new at 6 o'clock tonight, some of the poorest people in one Bay Area city are about to be priced out. Why they say tech workers are about to take over their homes.
But first, the markets closed mostly down today. Here's a look at the closing numbers from Wall Street. Last night's Perseid meteor shower did not disappoint. KPIX 5 photographer Brian Ewan snapped this photo from Maui. You can see the meteor shower alongside the Milky Way. Wow, that's gorgeous. Well, did you miss it? Weather permitting, you can still catch it tonight and early tomorrow morning.
I don't know, Paul. I sat out there for an hour last night on a lawn chair. I saw satellites. I saw airplanes. I didn't see a single meteor. What happened?
You didn't see one thing?
Not one single thing.
You know what? But you got an hour in your backyard.
An hour in my yard. I saw owls flying
Ken woke
around.
up at 7 in the morning.
Bats flying around.
I think he was dreaming.
See? You saw something. This wasn't me. I think he fell asleep for a few hours. I think you saw some sheep going over a hill. All right, here we're in San Jose tonight. It is perfect weather. Perfect weather for a summer fest. Music. It's all about music here. Jazz, 120 different acts tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday, including the largest Latin festival on the West Coast. It starts literally in 5 minutes. This is one of 12 stages. We're at Plaza de Cesar Chavez, and the weather could not be more perfect. The Weather Lab reporting in sunshine and 82 degrees currently. It's hot away from the water. Concord and Livermore, you're at 91, but San Francisco and Oakland, only the low to mid 60s. San Jose officially 79 at Mineta, and Santa Rosa checking at 85 degrees. Once again, air quality will be an issue, specifically the East Bay tomorrow. Our 16th spare the air day of the summer. Unhealthy air quality in the East Bay, moderate elsewhere. Tonight, 50s. There will be some low cloud cover moving in anywhere near the water, including you, San Francisco, 55 for a low. Pacifica, 51. San Jose tonight, 58 degrees. There is a ridge of high pressure which is building closer to the Bay Area. That's why we were modestly warmer today. We'll see a few more degrees of warming away from the water coming up tomorrow, and then we'll kind of level off. We'll be warm, but I'm loath to call it hot because we're only going to be about 5 degrees above average away from the water all the way through next week. So fog and low cloud cover returning tonight. That modest warming will continue tomorrow, but most of it will be inland, and we will not be as warm on Sunday. And we'll level off with 60s and 70s near the water, 90s inland, all the way through next week. How about your Saturday? You made it this the weekend. Livermore, you're up to 96 tomorrow. San Jose, you are up to 86. 67 in San Francisco, 85 in Santa Rosa, heading up to wine country, Napa, 87 degrees. Extended forecast, a lot of 9s inland, will be above 90 degrees for each of the next 7 days. The warmest weather being tomorrow, then the middle of next week. But only the 60s and 70s near the bay, and only the 50s and 60s along the coastline. So the weather looking very pleasant, pleasantly warm away from the water, pleasantly cool if you're hanging out near San Francisco Bay. The San Jose Jazz Fest, the Summer Fest, lasts tonight. Tomorrow and Sunday, 40,000 people are expected, and if you want to come, you can go online or you can buy tickets right here. We're outside the Fairmont Hotel, where the weather is absolutely perfect for some outdoor music tonight and through the weekend. That's your forecast. We'll be back in a minute.
That's it for KPIX 5 News at 5 o'clock. The CBS Evening News with Scott Pelley is next.
We'll see you back here at 6.